On a Tuesday night in late April of 2024, an episode of a television show aired on TLC. It was a quiet episode. It was emotional. It was titled, with what would turn out to be remarkable accuracy, Time to Move On? The question mark was intentional. The episode showed Matt Roloff, his fiancée Karen Chandler, his ex-wife Amy Roloff, and her husband Chris Marek taking time to decompress and consider the future. There were quiet moments. There were reflective conversations. There was the unmistakable feeling of an ending. And then the credits rolled, and the lights came down, and the cameras, which had been pointed at the Roloff family for 18 years, almost as long as Zach Roloff had been alive in front of them when the show began, stopped rolling. That episode, on April 23, 2024, was the 394th episode of Little People, Big World. It was the finale of season 25. And although TLC has never, to this day, officially announced that the show is canceled, that episode was the last new episode of Little People, Big World that the world will probably ever see. Tonight on LPBW Update, we are walking through the end of one of the longest-running reality television shows in American history. We are talking about how it started, how it grew, why it became what it became, and why, in the end, it ended the way it did, with a quiet whimper instead of a celebratory series finale. Because Little People, Big World was never just a show. It was a family. And the way it ended says more about what reality television has become in 2026 than any official cancellation announcement ever could. To understand how this show ended, you have to understand where it came from. In 2006, when Little People, Big World first premiered on TLC, the reality television landscape was very different than it is today. Cable networks were still investing heavily in original content. Family-focused reality shows were exploding in popularity, and TLC was looking for the next great family franchise. They found it in the Roloff family. The pitch was simple but powerful. A family living on a 109-acre farm in Hillsboro, Oregon. The parents, Matt and Amy, both have dwarfism. 3 of their 4 children also have dwarfism, with Zach being a little person and his twin Jeremy being average height. Their younger children, Molly and Jacob, completed the picture. The show would follow their everyday lives, the way they navigated a world that was not always built for them, the way they ran the farm, the way they raised their children. It would be educational. It would be heartwarming. It would, in a quiet way, change the way America thought about families like the Roloffs. And, importantly, it would have a built-in setting, the farm, that gave the producers endless visual material to work with. The show launched in March of 2006. Almost immediately, it found an audience. The pumpkin patch at Roloff Farms, which had been a local Hillsboro attraction for years, suddenly became a national destination. Families from across the country started planning vacations to Oregon just to walk the property they had seen on television. The Roloff kids grew up in front of the cameras. They went to school, they played sports, they went to prom, they argued with their parents, they argued with each other, and America watched all of it. The show became, for many viewers, a kind of extended family. People felt like they knew Matt. They felt like they knew Amy. They felt like they were watching their own kids grow up alongside Zach and Jeremy and Molly and Jacob. That kind of parasocial attachment is exactly what cable networks dream of, and Little People, Big World delivered it in spades. The first big test of the show came in 2010, when TLC announced that the 6th season would be the last. The Roloffs themselves had decided, at that point, that they wanted to step back from the cameras and let the kids grow up in private. A press release was issued. Fans were heartbroken. And then, just a few weeks later, the family was contacted again. TLC wanted to do some specials. Just a few. Less demanding schedule. Family-friendly format. The Roloffs agreed. They filmed Conquering Mount St. Helens. They filmed Breaking Down the Walls. They filmed Welcome to the Jungle. In 2012, the family agreed to a spinoff called Wedding Farm, where Matt and Amy hosted couples getting married on the property. And gradually, almost without anyone noticing, the show returned in its original format. The cancellation that almost happened in 2010 became a long pause, and then the show simply restarted. By 2015, Little People, Big World was once again a regular fixture on TLC's lineup, and it would stay that way, season after season, for the next 9 years. During that long second run, the show changed dramatically. The kids grew up. Jeremy got married to Audrey in 2014. Jeremy and Audrey left the show in 2018. Molly got married and largely left the public eye. Jacob also left the show as a teenager and stayed away. Zach married Tori. Zach and Tori had Jackson, then Lila, then Josiah. Matt and Amy's marriage ended. The divorce was finalized in 2016. Matt began dating Karen Chandler in 2017. Amy began dating Chris Marek in 2017 as well. The blended family dynamics became the new narrative engine of the show. The farm sale tensions began to develop. The next generation became the focus, as Zach and Tori brought their growing family into the storyline. The show, in its way, evolved with the family. It got more complicated. It got more emotional. It got, at times, more painful. And it kept going. Through 2018, through 2019, through the pandemic years of 2020 and 2021, through the farm fight of 2021 and 2022, through Amy and Chris's wedding in 2021, through the proposal between Matt and Karen in 2023, the show survived everything, until it did not. The beginning of the end came in February of 2024. On their podcast, Raising Heights, Zach and Tori Roloffs announced that they would not be returning to Little People, Big World. They had not technically been asked to return for a season 26, but they made it clear, in their own words, that the chapter had closed regardless. Zach said the last cycle had been rough between the family, the farm deal, and them. They were done. They had moved on. They wanted privacy for their 3 children. They wanted to focus on their own life. And whether or not TLC was planning to ask them back, they were not coming back. That announcement was, in retrospect, the death knell for the show. Because here is the reality of Little People, Big World by 2024. Jeremy and Audrey had already been gone for 6 years. Molly had been gone even longer. Jacob had been gone since his teens. The only Roloff children still on the show were Zach and his family. When Zach left, the show was left with Matt and Karen, Amy and Chris, and effectively no younger Roloffs. And without the next generation, the show was, for all practical purposes, out of story. The reason audiences had stayed connected to Little People, Big World for 18 years was the children. Without them, the show could not sustain itself. TLC, for whatever reasons, never officially announced the cancellation. There was no big press release. There was no farewell special. There was no behind-the-scenes documentary about the end of an era. The April 23, 2024 episode aired as the season finale of season 25, with a title, Time to Move On, that seemed to acknowledge the moment without quite committing to it. And then the show simply stopped. There was no season 26 announcement in 2024. There was no season 26 announcement in 2025. As of December of 2025, when Amy Roloff publicly confirmed that there were no future plans for new episodes of Little People, Big World, it became official, in the only sense that mattered. The show was over. The cameras were not coming back. The Roloff family, after 18 years of being one of the most filmed families in America, was free. Matt Roloff handled the moment characteristically. In a long Facebook post on April 26, 2024, 3 days after the finale aired, he addressed the elephant in the room directly. He said he could not predict the future. He said he did not think the network could either. He said TLC had done a nice job on the season finale episode, hedging their bets and putting a nice button on the show and where the family that still participated stood. He said if Little People, Big World never came back in whatever various forms, he thought the consensus was that they had wrapped up the Roloff Crazy Train saga pretty good. And then, in a line that fans have repeated many times since, He said he hated saying goodbye, so he would not. He would just say, "See you later." That phrasing is pure Matt. It is hopeful, it is open-ended, it leaves the door cracked just in case. It does not foreclose the possibility of specials or reunions or some new format down the road. And it gives fans something to hold on to. Not a goodbye, just a see you later. Amy, for her part, has been more direct. In the months and years since the finale aired, she has made it clear in multiple interviews and social media posts that she is in no rush to return to television. She has said definitively that there are no future plans for new episodes. She has indicated that she values the privacy she has finally regained. She has talked about how much of her life she gave to the show and how much she is enjoying being a private person again, even if a private person who still has hundreds of thousands of social media followers. Amy seems to have made peace with the show's end in a way that some of the other cast members have not. The question that fans keep asking is whether the show will ever come back, even in specials or some other form. The honest answer is that it is possible, but unlikely. TLC has not to date shown any indication of producing Roloff-related specials. The relationship between Matt and Zach is still strained enough that any joint television project would be complicated. Karen Chandler is no longer engaged to Matt, which would change the family dynamic on screen significantly. Jacob and Isabel have shown no interest in being filmed. Jeremy and Audrey have built their own influencer business and have no incentive to return to a TLC show. The pieces just do not fit together anymore. The family that was on screen in 2006 is not the family that exists in 2026. Too much has happened. Too many people have moved on. And the appetite for that kind of long-running family reality television has frankly shifted in the streaming era. That brings us to the deeper question. What did Little People, Big World mean? What is its legacy? For 18 years, this show educated America about families with dwarfism. It humanized a community that had often been the subject of curiosity rather than understanding. It put Matt and Amy in millions of living rooms and let them be parents, spouses, business owners, and human beings, not just little people. It showed Zach, in particular, growing up as a little person, navigating school and dating and work and eventually marriage and fatherhood. It gave fans, especially fans who were themselves little people or who knew little people in their lives, a sense of representation that had been almost entirely absent from American television before. That legacy is real. That legacy matters, even if the show ended quietly. Even if the final season was full of family tension and farm fights. The 18 years of Little People, Big World did something for American culture that no other reality show has done quite as well. And the Roloff family deserves credit for that, whatever you might think about the conflicts of the final seasons. It also gave us, in the end, one of the most complete portraits of a family in modern American television. We watched these people fall in love. We watched them have children. We watched their children grow up. We watched the marriages succeed. We watched the marriage end. We watched the divorce. We watched the new relationships form. We watched the engagements. We watched the wedding. We watched the second wedding. We watched the engagement collapse. We watched the grandchildren be born. We watched the family fight over the farm. We watched the family begin to mend. There are very few families in American television history whose full lives have been documented this completely. Maybe the Kardashians, maybe the Duggars, but the Roloffs, in their own way, gave us something different from either of those families. They gave us ordinary lives, lived in front of cameras, in a small town in Oregon, on a pumpkin farm, for 18 straight years. That is a remarkable thing. Where do the cast members go from here? We have covered most of them in other videos on this channel. Matt is single now, reconnecting with his family. Amy and Chris are happily married, celebrating their 4th anniversary. Zach and Tori are running their Raising Heights podcast and raising their 3 kids in Washington. Jeremy and Audrey are running a major influencer business and bought their own farm in 2024. Molly is private and living her own life. Jacob and Isabel are on Roloff farms, working the land and raising their son, Mateo. And Karen Chandler, after her own 8 years on the show, has quietly stepped away from public view. The cast has scattered. The show is over. The chapter has, for now at least, closed. But the audience has not gone away. Fans are still watching. Fans are still discussing. Fans are still following the social media accounts. Fans are still showing up to Roloff farms during pumpkin season. The Roloff name is still one of the most recognizable in reality television, even with the show off the air. That is what 18 years of family television built. Not just a show, not just episodes, a connection, a relationship, a community of viewers who feel like they know this family. And that connection, unlike a television show, does not end when the network stops filming. It just changes shape. It moves to podcasts. It moves to Instagram. It moves to channels like this one, where we work to tell you what is really happening in the Roloff world without all the made-up drama and clickbait. The show is over, the family is still here, and the story, in its quieter, post-television form, is still being told. So tell me what you think. Did season 25 deserve a proper series finale? Or do you think TLC handled the ending appropriately by leaving the door cracked open? Do you believe Little People Big World will ever come back in some form? Or do you think the show is truly over forever? And what was your favorite season of LPBW, the one that meant the most to you as a viewer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to LPBW Update, and ring the bell so you do not miss our weekly Roloff family stories. We are committed to bringing you the truth, the timeline, and the story behind the story. I will see you on the next one.